to get it into me. Let me know. All right, so we're going to call this press conference to order in just a moment here. We would like our Facebook audience to share this video with as many friends as possible. So let me go and share on my own page here. Okay, there it is, there it is. Somebody figure out how to share this on my face. Just share it. You know how to do it. Okay, please share it. All right. I want to call this press conference to order. I'm so excited. My name is Ro Davis. I'm the visionary and co-founder of the New Life Movement, BOP Project 5000, not-for-profit organization. We're very excited to be here today at Chatham Academy High School. I want to welcome our special guest and thank the esteemed Dorothy Brown for coming out to be a part of this historic event. I want to thank all of the individuals from Chatham Academy, the students, the staff, and the folks who have contributed so much to our task force. You'll hear from some of those individuals in just a moment. If you're out there in Facebook land or the internet and you're watching what we're doing, please take this opportunity to share this video with as many of your friends and family as possible. It is very important that we bring attention to the work that we're doing here and we're able to expose this powerful vision to the entire world. So before we get started, let me just talk a little bit about the New Life Movement and our organization so that you can understand the context out of which this effort comes. First of all, this is a press conference to bring awareness to teen homelessness and, more importantly, to talk about our solution to end it. The New Life Movement is a movement that I co-founded along with Dr. Murphy, that's flanked to my left, about 15 years ago. Our vision was to create the next leg of liberation, if you will, to move the baton from the civil rights generation to the hip-hop community. I believe that it's our responsibility as a community to move our people forward economically, politically, socially, and move to a dietary reality where we can create a sustainable future. Our programmatic thrust is BOP Project 5000. BOP is an acronym that stands for Building Our Posterity. And that movement is built on the premise that the children are not our future, but rather we are our children's future. Our goal is to be intentional about the next generation, which is one of the reasons why this issue of teen homelessness was very sensitive to us. As you guys may or may not know, we are working to revitalize 79th Street, to rebuild our community, to take over the retail and residential assets. Our community has been talking about the need to own and control the businesses where we shop and control the residential real estate in the areas where we live. Well, that day is no longer a vision in the future. It's something that's happening right now. And we are proud to be a part of it. And if you're out there, I want to challenge you, if you're an entrepreneur or thinking about it, to come to the BOP Business Center. We're located at 644 East 79th Street, where we can help bring your idea to life. For $1,000 or less, we can help you get your business off the ground. So with that, we chose Chatham Academy, which is actually in our target area. Our goal is to take this alternative high school which you're going to hear a little bit more about from Tony Kadir Lyons, which is the vice principal of this amazing institution. But 30% of the students here are functionally homeless. That's a problem for me. 30% struggle just to get back and forth to school every day. Now, if you're out there, I want you to imagine having, as a high school student, to worry about peer pressure, bullying, and all the things that we deal with when we're at that critical stage of our development, and then have to think about where you're going to live, or having to move in between gang territories to get to the school that best suits your needs. We need to bring this type of issue into focus, and more importantly, as they say, it takes a village to raise a child. And I understand that today. That's been a metaphor up until now. And what you're looking at behind me is the village that stepped up to help to raise our children to become not thugs, not the things that the media has portrayed us in being, but to become the future leaders that will take over the work that we're doing here in every other part of our community. And so we want to, at this particular time, I want to bring up the vice principal of Chatham Academy, a brother I've known for quite some time, a bold leader, somebody who really loves the work that he's doing and is doing a phenomenal job, Mr. Tony Kadir Lyons. Let's give him a round of applause.
How's it going, Facebook family? Tony Kadir Lyons, your favorite educator and entrepreneur and investor. And I guess I should let the cat out of the bag now. Not only am I the current assistant principal at Chatham Academy High School, but I am now the official principal of Chatham Academy High School for the year 2018-2019. And to reiterate what Ro said, we have enough issues in the community, and our students have enough issues in the community, just struggling through their high school education, to have to deal with other things that should be taking care of them from the get-go, like a proper education, like somewhere to stay, like food in their bellies and clothes in their backs. One of the things that we want to do is focus on this school year is to make sure that we put a dent in the homeless situation that our students struggle with on a day-to-day basis. It's enough. It's enough. It's enough work and enough toil that they have to do to get through these 4 years of education and not to have to worry about where they're going to live from day to day. It is our goal, it is our mission to make sure that our little brothers and sisters get everything that they deserve and everything they need so that they can focus on the job at hand, and that's to educate themselves fairly and squarely. We must come together as a community to do this and to pull this off. We cannot do this without you, without the fathers, without the mothers, without the business people, without the politicians in the community working in unison and working together to pull this off. We can only do this together. Only do this together. And so again, I reiterate what Mr. Ro Davis said. We are calling on you to help us in this work. We need your volunteer. We need your work. We need your money. We need your finances, and we need your love for these little brothers and sisters so we can give them what they need so they can focus on the job at hand, and that is to get a high school diploma. Not only that, we need the business people of the community to come out and open your doors and employ these little brothers and sisters. That's another thing they have to worry about from day to day, and that's how to get money to sustain themselves and to feed themselves from day to day. That should not be the case when we have enough business people in and around this community to make sure that they stay gainfully employed, at the very least, that they're being mentored into some type of field that they can carry on after high school. This must take place, and we need your help, and we need your assistance. So once again, we invite you, please reach out. The Chatham Academy phone number is 773-651-1500. As a matter of fact, we are enrolling all summer From Monday through Thursday, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., you can come in, and if you have not found a home and you have not found a school for the next school year, please come. As a matter of fact, if you do have a school, if you do have a home, I'd like for you to still come to my school, because we will bend over backwards to make sure that you get a high school diploma and that we feel and show you the love that you need to succeed. All right? With that being said,
all right.
I'll give it back over to Brother Brother.
All right. I want to officially thank the new principal of Chatham Academy High School for those words. Now look, one of the things that we need to mention, the reason why we're doing this press conference is to officially launch our GoFundMe campaign. We need your support. We have identified a property that we're going to operate the first New Life transitional facility out of, but we need funding. And we don't want to wait on funding from our government. Certainly that would be a blessing, and we're certainly encouraging that support, but we need you to show up and show out. Even if you don't have the resources to support our campaign financially at this time, we need you to share this video, share our GoFundMe link. Our goal is to raise $100,000 in order to renovate, to launch our program, and to furnish the first facility. This will be the first facility of many where we are, as a village, coming together to make a difference in the lives of our students. We believe the job that Mr. Lyons has in Chatham Academy is not a burden that they should share alone. It's a burden that we all have to embrace and share. And so we want to divide that risk amongst each other. And so one of the things that we must begin to marry in order for us to be able to attract the political resources that we need in order to revitalize our community is that we have to organize our vote politically. Many of us have blindly given our vote to Democrats without the alignment of our interests. It's not that the Democratic Party is a problem, it's the fact that we haven't determined what our agenda is, and so we're expecting politicians to lead us. It's time for us to lead politicians in the direction of our needs. And so in order to do that, the first person that I want to bring to the podium, or the next person that's going to talk about how we do this, is Dr. Laverne Murphy, who is the leader of Black Coffee Political Alliance. Thank you.
And let me thank all of you in the listening audience out there for joining us today. This is truly a historic event. This is something that we've been working on now for a number of years to get to this point. And so what we are, as Rose said earlier, and I'm a firm believer in supporting that, we must recognize that the children are not our future, we are our children's future. And if we don't get busy building a foundation for it today, then you don't have to guess what it's going to be tomorrow. And many of us stand here today as older people, having been raised by good and committed parents, but given the circumstances that they had to endure, they didn't have much left to provide for a future other than a good example of hard work and strong moral and ethical values. And that is important. In fact, I say that that's probably more important than much of the other stuff, because a rich man who's misguided by the wrong morals will only use his wealth to create evil. And so we created Black Coffee Political Alliance, a non-aligned political party. And what that means is we are neither Democrats or Republicans. And I might disagree a little bit with my brother Roe. I believe in Chicago the Democrats have been exactly the problem, because for 70 years that I've lived here, this city has been under the rule of Democratic control. And our community has went purely to hell on a slow route there. And now here we are today, thinking better, realizing better. Now, certainly, we have not made the demands upon neither political institution that we should. And power gives up nothing without a demand. If you don't ask for nothing, that's exactly what you're going to get, nothing. And so we organize Black Coffee Political Alliance. When I say non-aligned, we are neutral. We are focused on what is important for Black people and what is important for our communities. We have perhaps one of the most important elections coming up that has occurred in my lifetime right here in this city. We have a mayor, unfortunately, who has not served the interests of all of Chicago, and certainly have not served the interests of Black Chicago. We're a tale of two cities, one called Shighetto and the other one called Chicago. They are totally separate and they are unequal. And leadership here has never cared about Shighetto. They've worked harder to maintain Shighetto than they have to change it. We have serious problems that we have to confront, and we need to be careful in who we select for our next leader of this town. And we must make certain that we stop making this silly mistake of thinking that because you're not participating in the electoral process that you don't vote or you're not a participant. Yes, you are. See, if you do nothing, that's your participation. The problem with doing nothing, being your participation, is you hurt your own interests when you do that. There is no neutrality in this fight. You're going to be on one side or the other. You're going to be with the best interests of your community, or you're going to be an enemy to that. And you have to now, and as Black Coffee, sitting up on the street corners. See, we want to go talk to Pookie and Ray Ray. On the street corner, we know they don't understand. We have to take the time to hold them by their hand and say, look, brother, the condition that you are suffering is an indirect result of your lack of knowledge and participation in the process that you must participate in. You must participate in it. Because when we get to the next election, we got critical matters. We have a mayor for 2 terms now, closed 50 of our schools without regard to the direct implications of doing that. He did not understand the culture of our community. He didn't understand that. And so he did things reflecting that lack of understanding, and we got hurt in the process. So perhaps there was under-enrollment in many schools. But given the conditions of our community, I could think of some very useful educational activities that could have gone on into those buildings. And if not educational activity, that infrastructure could have been converted into something very useful. We are embarking by the September 1st of this year. We will enroll and register 100,000 voters. See, we don't have to register all of them because many of our community is registered to vote, they just don't vote. As I've talked to many in the neighborhoods, I've talked to many people who told me they were registered voters, but hadn't voted in the last 15 to 20 years. We want to activate that registered vote. I've spoken to even more who've never registered and asked the question, what difference do it make if I do? And my response is, I'm so glad you asked that question. Give me 5 minutes to explain. And do you know what? I was so impressed that these young people, 17, 18, 19 years old, if you take a moment to just explain it, they get it. They actually get it. They are the victims of not being talked to. Let me just say a few things about the issue that's critical to our community and where our mayor has failed us miserably. I'm glad to hear more positive reports about the outcomes of public education in our city under its present leadership. I commend them for that work. Please continue it. We have here a violence problem, as it is called, and it spreads all over the world, almost now as the face of Chicago. Well, I don't call it a violence problem because violence is a symptom of a deeper problem. And that problem is entrenched poverty directed to too many specific neighborhoods. And the city knows this. I read reports a few years ago about the $103 million they spent on more police. And in that article, they described the 5 neighborhoods where most of the violence was occurring. And in that description, they described the demographic and the specific circumstances that these people are challenged with in these neighborhoods. Poverty, the lack of opportunity, a population of people who was failed in the public education system, relegated to stand on Chicago's street corners where there's nothing there but an opportunity to commit petty crime that's going to lead you right into the trap of arrest, violence, and the penitentiary. This is what this city has given us. So we're going to need leadership here who understands that we don't need two Chicagos. We need one Chicago where all of Chicago is treated fairly. There needs to be investment, real investment in our neighborhoods to give little Johnny on that corner an opportunity to be trained and to be employed where he can grow up and start and support a family so that we can really build our posterity. Black Coffee is committed to making that happen. And I'm calling on all of you. If you're registered but not voting, we want to talk to you. If you are not registered and have not voted, we really want to talk to you because I'm committed to having 100,000 non-aligned voters ready to position ourselves because the right person is going to show up. And when that person show up, they're going to need all of us. I'll stop there.
All right. All right. Woo! Very difficult to go behind Dr. Murphy. But if you're out there and you're watching this, please go to our GoFundMe campaign that's listed at the top of this post and donate. We don't care whether it's $5, $10, $20, and certainly we're okay with 100 or more, right? And so Dr. Murphy talked about the power of political influence and the ability to invest that energy behind politicians who have a heart for our community, who are willing to pay attention to the plight of our people. And so we invited many folks here, but the only one who showed up that I have to acknowledge is the beautiful Dorothy Brown. And so let's give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am just so happy to be here to stand with you for homelessness, the homelessness of our teens. You know, we have a significant number of teens in our schools that are homeless. During the 2016-2017 school year, and those are the numbers that we have to date, there were over 18,000 teens that were homeless. You know, that's a shocking number in a city that we say that is supposed to be prosperous like the city of Chicago. And then of course, just 2 weeks ago, more recently, they were rounding up the homeless people in the triangle under Lord Wacker and actually throwing away some of their personal belongings. That's a lack of humanity for our people. We have to have an administration, a mayor that cares for our people. You know, today I'm joining certainly Mr. Roland Davis, our principal, Mr. Kadir, and of course, Dr. Laverne Murphy, chairman of the Black Coffee Political Alliance, as they launch this BOP Project 5000, an effort to raise money to help homeless students find homes. I take my hat off to you. It's so commendable. You know, so many people just simply think about themselves. They don't worry about what's happening to others. You know, even if we don't have a child in high school or in school in general, and even if you're doing well, we have to, from a human nature, look at and be concerned about what's happening to our students. And so I am happy to be here with you. This transitional living program created to address homelessness of our teens is beginning here and I want to congratulate Chatham Academy and the principal here and the administration here. And I heard you say that you had almost 30% of your students here were homeless, functionally homeless. Now that's really, really tragic, and we have to do something about it. You know, I'm proud to stand with the non-for-profit organizations that are tackling some of our most persistent and urgent problems in our city. And one of the things that I want to do as mayor of the city of Chicago is to connect non-for-profit agencies with those individuals that are in need. Too many times we have not-for-profit agencies like what we're talking about here today that really have the programs but don't have a way to connect with the individuals, and then the individuals don't really know where to go get the services. Also, non-for-profit agencies are out here trying to raise money, and many times there are grants. There are state grants, there are federal grants that are available, but it's just a lack of knowledge. And so I want to create a technology platform that will bring all of that together, bring individuals to services, bring not-for-profit agencies to various grants. So I want to look at crowdfunding and crowd granting and see how we can connect and make sure that because I think that not-for-profit agencies, if we shore them up, it's a part of my community wealth building platform. Not-for-profit agencies play a large part in helping us build our communities. And so I want to shore them up, make sure that they're strong. Who best to do that than the mayor of the city of Chicago?
Absolutely.
We have to work, we have to utilize the strength that we have, the power that we have to help people in every way that we can and use all of our resources. So I stand with you today as you plan to start at 6622 South Aberdeen and building and rehabbing a transitional facility for homeless teens. God bless you all.
Thank you. Definitely appreciate and respect Dorothy for coming out. You know, we extended this invitation and she's who showed up. That speaks volumes in terms of our political atmosphere. But the next person that I'd like to bring to the podium is an individual who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, who has been working in our community to create role models for young black men, who has been very effective with a tireless commitment to uplifting our community spiritually and economically. And that's none other than my brother from the Temple of Mercy. I'm having to pray for him. Brother Anton. Brother Goodness. I'm sorry. You got so many
I'm going to say all my names. In the name of the everlasting Father, he that causes all that exists to exist. He that is self-existent. He who directs the sunships of millions and trillions of years. He who made time, the seat of the universe. He's known by so many names, but he's that same one God whom I give reverence and to whom I submit. I'm Brother Minister Raheem Said Atta. I'm also known professionally as a musician. They call me the sax preacher. Just Google me since y'all on Facebook and whatnot. Well, I just want to say this for now. I've been in the struggle for the liberation of black people for about 27, 28 years. My organization, Temple of Mercy Association, is an all-inclusive, black conscious, yet righteous movement dedicated to the upliftment of our people. And the way I came into that understanding was based on when I was playing music. I traveled throughout the United States, throughout Canada, and throughout Europe. And one occasion, I was in an airport in a place called Finland, which is across Iceland. And at that time, you know, well, they still are like that, but they have like 6 months of daylight and 6 months of darkness. We were there during the 6 months of darkness. But when we were in the airport, we were the only black band, or really black people, in that airport at that time. And most of the people in that country have blue eyes, blonde hair, and red hair. You hardly ever see anybody with black hair. And they were playing a movie in that airport that had not shown in America yet. That movie was New Jack City. And everybody, when they were watching it, while we waiting to board our plane, kept looking at us. And we like, okay, what y'all looking at us for? But really, it made me think. It said, if they're seeing this image of us way over across the water, what are they thinking about us? And I was looking at what was happening to us in the 90s, how we were being, well, basically it's the same thing as what's going on now. The rise in black-on-black violence, gang violence, gun violence, and the death rate dealing with black people in the 90s was much more than it is today.
That's right.
It was like 975 in a year's time, and almost 1,000 at one time. And we were in the streets. We were hitting the streets, doing what we had to do to help our people. I actually commend the principal of this school, because most people only get grants to do prevention programs in most of the schools. Rarely do you get anything for redemption programs. They mostly think our people can't be redeemed. When they get pushed through the cracks in the system, then that's it. I was, I might as well call it that, a victim of that type of a situation. I was once homeless. I was a ward of the state. They call it DCFS. I call it Destroying Children's Families Systematically. And being in DCFS, they separated me and my family. I mean, I have a heart for the immigrants and their families being separated, but as a black man, I had 5 brothers and sisters, and we were all separated by DCFS. And I continued to run away. I never stayed in the different foster homes. Matter of fact, I was in about 17 of them. And that's only because I ran away all the time. I never stayed there. I had to sleep in the park. I had to make sure my friends, when their families had dinner, I found out what time was dinner time. And I made sure I knocked on the door at that time. And they said, oh, what's up there? You know, want to eat? Oh, sure. Came in and ate. Sometimes they hid me on the back porch or in the attic. Some of my friends, you know, they were musical friends because on this block Princeton, everybody played music. And so I was part of that group. But what I'm saying is I can relate to being homeless. I can relate to not being raised by your parents. I could relate to being on the streets and being, you know, like, well, I went through a lot of stuff too, because when you're trying to find a way out, you go to drugs, you go to alcohol, things like that. And I went through all of that, but I overcame. And I want to let the youth here know today that you can overcome also. Absolutely. Because I'm now the president of the United Black American Progress Association. I have my own organization, Temple of Mercy, that's been going strong for 26 years. I'm a musician professionally. I've been playing for over 43 years now. And so I'm just, well, let me say this, and then I can get out the way. I'm with Ro and Brother Laverne and the principal of this movement, and I'm willing to bring programs into this school and help with what we call Life 101. And we're showing our brothers and sisters how it is out here and how it can be. And we give examples of how it can be by bringing in people who have overcome. Quickly, just to let you know, I'm still doing my work. Here's a young brother here that we're bringing up as a youth minister in our movement, and he's going to be working with me and with Brother Ro and all of us at this school to help lift you all up from a dead level to what we call a living perpendicular on the script.
Absolutely.
And I just want you all to know
all right.